Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can be swinging slower, but actually hit the golf ball further with your driver. See, not everybody has the ability to swing like a Bryson DeChambeau. Not everyone has the ability to swing long, but whether it's injuries, flexibility, you name it. And look, there's no point in adding more club head speed if at the very first fact you don't have the right type of contact with the ball. So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 things on how you can add more distance before you start looking at increasing your length of swing or even your club head speed. Now, before I do though, look, remember, if you're new to the channel, it's one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing. Just press that little bell button, next subscribe button, you get notified every time I release a video just like this one. Plus, I always put a free downloadable practice guide in the description box below. So let's give you 3 things now that are going to help you hit the ball further with a driver without necessarily having to swing any faster or harder at it. Now, all 3 things are super important, so make sure you watch all 3. Now, the first thing you're going to need to be able to do is common sense, but you're going to need to learn how to hit the center of the club face more often. Because, look, if you hit the heel of the club, that is going to produce a lot of slice spin. If you hit the toe of the club, the driver, you're going to hit a lot of hook spin. If you hit way too low on the driver, that is going to produce a lot of backspin, again, losing you a lot of distance. And finally, if you hit too high on the face, which I see a lot, you're going to basically start to kind of hit the ball sky, almost the ball up in the air, right? And you can always check that by looking at the driver. If you've got lots of scratches on the top, you know that you're hitting too high, often because you're coming down on it. So the question is how do you hit the center? Well, look, one of the things that I get asked when we're out doing on-course lessons is, oh, Danny, I struck that poorly. Okay, great. So what do you do with that? When you strike a ball poorly, well, where did you strike the face? Because knowing where that ball struck on the face is crucial for you then, to allow your body basically to make some subtle adjustments to then improve it for next time. But if you're unaware of where you're striking on the face or you can't feel it, then what do you do? So this is a stage number 1. You need to get good at feeling where your ball is hitting the face. Now, get some foot powder spray, okay? Super valuable, but a lot of people misuse this, and I'll show you how in a second. Spray the face, and it produces a white film over your driver face. Now, all I want you to do is simply hit a shot, okay? Now, I've got to be careful because I've damaged my back at the gym just a couple of days ago, but watch this. Now, I hit that off the toe of the club, and I know that because of feeling. Watch this. I've hit that, look, towards the toe. How valuable that is for me, because I can feel that. I can naturally make adjustments for next time. So that is stage number 1 for you. I don't want you to just use foot powder spray just to say, oh, I'm hitting it off the toe. I want you now to be able to get the guess correctly. So just like I've done, I said that was off the toe and I was correct. That's what I want you to do. Get yourself to a driving range. Spray your face up. Hit the shot, don't look at it, and guess where it's coming off. If you can once you start to guess correctly, that feedback is massive, because watch, then what we can do is move to the kind of more advanced game, which is this. I'm now, on purpose now, going to try and hit the ball off the heel. I'm not going to do anything fancy in my setup. I'm going to use that feeling, that skill I've got to hit this ball off the heel of the club. Watch this. I've now hit, look, the ball off the heel. How have I done that? Because I have the feeling through the skill I've developed through club face awareness, which I want you now to develop. If I can hit the ball off the toe, if I can hit the ball off the heel because of that feedback, do you think that's going to help me and therefore you to hit the ball off the center more often? Of course it is. Just imagine someone playing tennis. We're having a game of tennis. You hit the ball slightly towards the rim. You don't start thinking of complicated movements to try and hit the center. You just keep going and eventually you get a feel of racket awareness. Well, that's what this will do for your driving too. So test that out. That is point number 1. Point number 2 is this. In fact, it's almost point number 2 and number 3. We'll deal with number 3 in a second. But point number 2 is this. Science proves that if you want to hit the ball longer, you need a high launch but low spin. What does that mean? Well, we need the ball launching high up in the air, But we don't want it going with loads of backspin, we actually want low spin. So we'll deal with spin in a second, but for now, we're gonna teach you how to launch it. Now, before I jump into this, I want to deal with a misconception. One thing a student of mine recently had was this. He was hitting the ball really, really high. Now, he assumed that was because he was getting underneath the golf ball, but actually, it was because he was hitting down on the golf ball, the ball was hitting the top of his driver and bouncing straight up into the sky. So what did he do when the ball kept going high? He started hitting even more down. That's a disaster, right? So what you need to have is to get the high launch, we need to be hitting up on the driver. So the club needs to be ascending, hitting the ball on an ascending blow. Here's how you do this. Let's start with setup first. Put your feet together with the ball directly in line with the middle of your feet. Take a very small step towards a target and then a step away from the target. Now the ball position is in a place which is going to allow the club to bottom out behind the golf ball and then you hit up on that ball. That's the first stage. Second stage is this. Another student of mine really struggled to hit up on the driver, thus losing distance. Why? Because at the start here, his shoulders are way too level. Tilt your shoulders away from the target here. Check this in a mirror. Reason being, when I got Paul actually doing this, he felt as though he was like this. We put him on camera. He barely done it, right? He just couldn't believe it, right? So check, make sure you're tilted away from the target. This is going to give you that ability to hit upwards on the shot. Now, when you're in the swing, what you can do is this. Look, make sure your head, or you allow your head to move away from the target and then keep it looking away from the target here as you swing down. Because look, if you allow your head to move towards the target, it drags the club across and gets you coming down steep. I'll just show it from this angle. So when I'm here, look, if I allow my head to slightly tilt away from the target here, keep my head looking this direction. I'm still looking at the ball, but my head's here. I'm able to hit, look, upwards on the ball. But if I allow my head to sometimes move back towards my target, it tends to get the club working steeply on top of that golf ball. So really simple tip to help you get the high launch aspect of this motion. So let me show you this in action. So I'll hit a couple of shots for you. And the first thing I'm going to do is this. So there's me hitting downwards on the ball, okay? Look at that low point. Club head speed 90 miles an hour. 6.8 down on the golf ball, no distance whatsoever. Why? Because I'm hitting straight down on the golf ball. Immediately, if I start to hit up on this ball here, okay, watch this. So I hit up on the ball, I've got less club head speed, I've hit behind the golf ball, the low point is behind, and I've hit it a total of 211, simply by hitting up on the ball. No length of swing, just a little tap. That's the advantage of basically getting an ascending blow on your driver. So go and test this out, make sure you get the setup right, to keep your head pointing behind the golf ball as you swing through, that will help. Let's move on to point number 3. So before we move on to point number 3, look, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you smash that like button. And of course, look, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Now, look, we said, look, you need high launch, but we don't want that ball just launching up in the air because that will actually lose you distance, yeah? What we want to now have is high launch but low spin. Here's how you get the low spin element. You need to make sure that the loft on the driver remains the same as it strikes up on the ball. What I mean by that is this, we don't want to be hitting up on the ball like this and adding loads of loft on the driver because that will just get the ball up in the air. You need to keep the loft down while the head itself goes upwards. Can you see this? So in an exaggerated way, look, see how my handle's almost ahead? It's not quite, but it's kind of literally, this is the motion of visualization you need. This is going to create the low spin. But how do you get the feel of this? Well, look, first of all, just take your lead hand. Look at my thumb here, it's pointing towards you. And what I'm gonna do is in my back of my lead hand initially, I'm just gonna imagine, look, hitting, look, upwards with the back of my hand on a ball, rolling the ball, putting topspin on the ball. Notice this, at no stage have I gone, put my hand this way with my thumb pointing in this direction, because this would be, look, an open club face at impact. Neither have I rolled my wrist this way and put my thumb this way, because this would be a closed club face at impact. Neither is going to be very, very good. We need to get, look where my thumb is now. This is the motion. Strong, not flicky, that's the high launch. This is now high launch, low spin. Do the same now with the right hand, look. I'm hitting up, not by flicking up, but by wiping up. You see the difference? Like if this was a cloth, I'm wiping the table, and then I'm going upwards, okay? Really getting that topspin. It's keeping the loft down, but the club going up. Once you've got that sensation, start really small. Did this with a recent student of mine. Got him, first of all, to visualize topspin on the shot. But I then got him in a really small way. I grabbed hold of his club, and I said, look at the face. Now keep that loft down, and imagine doing this. Up, up, up. Really, really small to start with. Now, because he was so used to chopping down, this was already a big difference. Then, goal number one is, can you put some topspin on? So it's really small. You've got your setup in position now here, your head's pointing in this direction. Now all I'm going to do now is try to put a very small shot, hit some topspin on this shot here. Watch the difference. And there's your topspin. So once you've got the topspin and got the sensation, and by the way, this can take a little bit of time to get a feel for it. With Rodney, it took just a few balls, to be fair, once we really got into keeping it small and then building it up. Once you've got that feeling, and if you struggle with a feeling, you can do exercises like this. Just make some swings here, get yourself into that setup position. Add loft, so you feel what adding loft is. Take loft away. Add loft, feel what that's like. Take it away. This could be almost your routine on a golf course if you wanted, okay? Then, clearly, then you've got to add some snap to this. Once you've got the feeling of it, you need to add snap, because if it's just this motion, that could be a bit too wooden. So get a rhythm and a snap. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So once you can start to create the snap, again, without really increasing the length of your swing, you can start to hit the ball even further. So I've got myself set up, I've got the visualization of topspin, I'm gonna add a little bit of snap into the bottom of this. Let's just see what happens. Again, no big swings at this stage, but hey presto, there's an extra 20 yards there, and I really ain't doing too much extra, just creating that extra bit of snap, okay? So 3 things that will add more distance without necessarily having to hit the ball harder or swing longer, okay? Get the feeling of how you hit the center of the club face. Make sure you do that, super important. Then look, hit up on the ball, make sure you've got the setup to do that, all right? Angle your head slightly behind the golf ball, stops rotating and coming down steeply on it. High launch, tick. Low spin, get a feeling of low spin. Keep the loft down on the driver. That is going to help you create the low spin. One final thing and a bonus tip here. Check out this video right here, because a decent grip will also massively help you with this kind of strike, okay? So do check out that video. And look, if you're new to the channel, remember, come and join the community by pressing that subscribe button and the bell. And of course, look, I always put a free downloadable practice guide in the description box below, so you won't have to remember a thing. But until next week, have a great golfing week.